Hey, this is Mark Moore, aka Tuxedo Mark, at various places on the internet. It's 12:34 p.m. according to a computer clock on Tuesday, August 18, 2015. Just turned 12:35 p.m. Okay, and this is my review of original Sailor Moon anime episode number 58, or episode number 12 of R. The Lovers' Hearts Disagree, the Angry Doom Tree. I'm kind of surprised that the Japanese title says Doom Tree, at least in this episode guide that I got off TV.com. Doom Tree is actually what the Deke dub had named it back in 1995. They called it Makai Tree in the new English dub from Viz. I'm not sure what Makai means, but whatever. Anyway, this episode originally aired in Japan on June 12, 1993. This is the penultimate episode of this little story arc. There's no pre-title scene. Okay, just you get the title and then you jump straight into the episode. There is a silly upcoming episode preview though, when it shows like the super chibi or deformed like Sailor Moon, which is actually a performer in a costume. You hear Usagi say "I'll banish her" or something like really just silly. She's being silly. They actually showed that same Sailor Moon performer at the in the next episode preview at the end of the previous episode, and I didn't know the context for what it was, and I still didn't know when this episode started what was up with that, but I'll get to that. The episode begins with Usagi walking around town and lamenting that no guys are interested in her. But then Anne is interested in Mamoru while they're in a bookstore together, and Ale meets Usagi and is interested in her, and they're hanging out together, like eating or drinking or whatever. Ale and Anne discover each other, and they get pissed at each other because they lied to each other about what they'd be doing, and a lot of romantic, petty, jealousy, nonsense type of stuff. Anyway, the Makai Tree is dying because the energy that it feeds it isn't working for whatever reason. The Cardian that they chose, which I don't think the term Cardian was used in this episode, but anyway, the Cardian drained the entire audience as Sailor Moon's stage show. It drained the whole audience of all of its energy, which it's never drained all of the energy of a person before. It doesn't kill them, but it makes them very weak, and it'll take them a long time to recover. Yes, there is a Sailor Moon stage show, and it's not a very big part of the episode, but it's very big when you think through it. Umino and Naru are in attendance, and they're both amazed that Sailor Moon has gotten so popular. Yes, Sailor Moon is so popular and famous that there is a stage show in Tokyo in the Sailor Moon universe devoted to Sailor Moon. Think about it for a moment, okay? In the stage show, we see a bunch of performers in costumes. They're not really dressed up. They're dressed in, I guess, chibi, big-headed costumes or whatever. You have, from left to right on stage, Jadeite. So they're aware of Jadeite. Then some unknown witchy ghouly type figures. Not Queen Beryl, I don't know who it's supposed to be. Maybe someone from a previous episode, but I don't recognize her. And then Sailor Moon herself, and Tuxedo Mask, and Luna. Yes, there's a Luna performer. Alright, let's think through this. The public, the general public, is well enough aware of Sailor Moon, Tuxedo Mask, Jadeite, and Luna. They know Luna is a cat that always appears with Sailor Moon. the same cat always hangs around with Usagi Tsukino. Put it together, people. Anyway, it's funny when Usagi she runs into a show late, I guess, and when she looks down at Umino and Naru, she's like, "Not these two again." Yes, it's quite a big joke at this point that Naru is always the target and Umino seems to be as well. Why do they get drained of energy or otherwise attacked so often? Especially Naru. Jeez. Okay, let's think about this even deeper. The Dark Kingdom happened to start attacking in Tokyo, which is where the Sailor Sentry happened to live. You could say it's probably a coincidence, but the Dark Kingdom was accessed through the Arctic Circle, I think. And so yeah, the Dark Kingdom always chose Tokyo, Japan to attack in. They never went anywhere else in the world. It was always in Tokyo. One scheme after another. Eventually, yes, they want to destroy the Sailor Sentry, but before that, why didn't they just attack in random spots all over the planet to gather their energy? The Sailor Sentry wouldn't have been able to do anything about it. Now we've got Ale and Anne with the Makai Tree. They're trying to feed the Makai Tree with energy. They're stealing energy. They happen to show up in Tokyo, and that's where they set up their base. They have nothing to do with the Dark Kingdom. They did in the Deke dub. They were from the Negverse, and they referenced Queen Beryl, but that was a Deke dub invention. In the original, they have nothing to do with the Dark Kingdom. They just happen to coincidentally choose Tokyo again, which just happens to be where the only people in the universe, or at least on the planet, that can stop them happen to live. Beyond that, assuming, okay, major coincidence and stuff like that, assuming they're working out of Tokyo and, they have to, why do they always pick targets that are at best within walking distance of where the Sailor Sentry happened to be at the time? They don't have any other kind of transportation. They always seem to run to the attack or whatever. It's like, don't attack just in Juban. Go to like another district or something. Just somewhere where the Sailor Guardians wouldn't be able to get to you on time. Anyway, let's move on. Usagi takes Ami and Mako to Ale and Anne's apartment because apparently they missed class, like maybe for one day, I'm not sure, it's not really specified, but they want to check up on them, or Usagi wants to, but while Ale is cordial, Anne throws them out, or makes them leave. In fact, Usagi had gone into a door. She had briefly opened the door, and some vines started coming out, but from the Makai Tree. But Ale closes it, and he tries to cover for himself by saying he's working on an experiment in astrobotany. And Usagi basically says, "Wow, space tree." I'm surprised that she could even figure that out. But anyway, apparently after they leave, Ale and Anne discover that the Makai Tree, which otherwise is not accepting energy at the time, it took some energy from Usagi and a small sapling grew. How come? it's not really explained. Maybe something to do with Usagi's purity or whatever, but it's not explained. So Ale tries to have the Guardian feed all the energy that it had gathered into the sapling, and the sapling withers and dies. So what's going on? And they think that Doomtree is in pain and it's making a sound or whatever, but while Am thinks so, Ale is dismissive of it. Usagi shows up the next day. In fact, yeah, this was during the next day when she showed up again at the apartment. That's when she discovered the Makai Tree, not when she was there with Ami and Mako. But anyway, a piece of the Makai Tree had clinged to Usagi's hair, just a small twig or whatever. They discovered it in the schoolyard. Later on, they've had Luna and Artemis examine it, and it's alive, and their research indicates it's some mysterious tree from space, but they don't know what its purpose is. In fact, Ale and Anne were discussing what the Makai Tree is, and apparently it's their source of life. It gives them energy, it transforms energy and stuff like that. But they don't know anything else beyond that. Ale thinks that's the extent of it. But here's the thing, why do they need the Makai Tree to survive? They feed the Makai Tree to make it stronger, and then they take energy from it to nourish themselves. But they've been shown to be able to take energy from anything to nourish themselves anyway, so why do they need the Makai Tree? But apparently the Makai Tree's been passed down from generation to generation from their ancestors, and yeah. Anyway, the girls figure out that Natsumi and whatever the guy's name is, that they're really on an Ale. But idiot Usagi doubts it. She doubts the whole thing. The only conclusion that she can come up with is, that thing must be a tree. And even Luna was like, how can someone be so dense or something like that? Someone said that, I'm not sure who. But, yeah, why is Usagi such an idiot? It's like, by this time, she's been Sailor Moon for over a year. By this time, wouldn't she have matured? Usagi's an idiot. Anyway, there's a 4-way transformation later on because Mamoru and Usagi showed up at the apartment. They were invited in. An trapped Usagi in the room with the Makai Tree. The Guardian saps Usagi's energy, but the Makai Tree is mad. The Makai Tree blows up the entire apartment, bursts out of it, and Luna has the other Guardians transform, so we get a 4-way transformation sequence, which conveniently eats up a lot of time. And all of the Guardians have to announce their names, of course. Mako wants to get through the Makai Tree by doing Supreme Thunder. She doesn't do Supreme Thunder Bird or anything like that, just her old Supreme Thunder attack. So what was the point of getting these power-ups if you hardly ever use them? Anyway, there's a small animation error, or an animation leftover thing that I noticed. It's on screen for only a few frames, but right after she releases Supreme Thunder, a red circle appears on the screen. And I'm guessing that was some kind of mark for the animators, like some kind of instruction or something, and it was just left in for whatever reason. I don't know. But it has no effect, so they can't get in, and then they hear Usagi scream, and it pans up to the sky like it's twilight, the sky's orange or red or whatever, like orange I guess, and
you see the top of the Makai Tree, and I guess that's where Usagi is. It's way up there in the sky. And that's how the episode ends, so it's pretty effective. What I'm wondering is if the stuff from the previous episode had any importance for this episode. The only reference was that, Mamoru was bringing flowers to Natsumi because she had helped out with the Snow White play. That's the only reference to the previous episode. There's no explanation for why the Guardian from the previous episode was disobeying Ale. There's no reference about the Doom Tree laughing, or the Makai Tree. That's never brought up. So, did the previous episode really... was it important at all? I don't know. Actually, I don't think that was the previous episode. Wasn't the previous episode the detention one? Hang on. Yeah. The Snow White episode was actually 2 episodes ago. But yeah, that gets only a brief mention in this episode, and the detention episode, the last episode, when it started saying that something might be happening, but none of that stuff is really followed up on in this episode. So I don't know. We'll see what the final episode is like next. And it's 12:51 p.m. and that's it. Thanks for watching.